The title of today's mission story is titled Praying for Three, and it takes place in Costa Rica. And our main character for today's story is Stephanie. Stephanie and her husband talked about having a family in Costa Rica, their home, and they realized that both of them wanted to have two biological children, but they wanted to adopt a child. But 5 years after they got married, they didn't have any children, so they wanted to try adopting a child first. And when they tried to adopt a child in Costa Rica, the agency told them that it wouldn't be easy. There would be a lot of paperwork to be done, and that could take them a few years for it to be finalized. And the child that they wanted, they wanted a baby, but instead they would probably get a teen that was going to be adopted. But fortunately, a few months later, Stephanie got pregnant with a girl, and then 3 years later, she had a son. And then 9 years later, she was wondering to her husband, could they still adopt? And they decided that they're going to talk to God. So they prayed to God and asked Him to send a child to them instead of them just looking for one. And then a few weeks later, she was having Bible study, and she offered to have a Bible study to this visitor. And the visitor said that, yes, can you come to my house? I'm a mother of 10. So yeah, so when Stephanie visited the house, the woman explained to her that she's a caregiver of orphaned kids, and this is an orphanage system that they have where there's 15 houses, and each house has 10 children, and the caregiver was just taking care of this one. So after Stephanie had the Bible study at the house, the director of the orphanages said that we really like the Bible studies that you have. Could you come to all of our houses? So Stephanie talked to the church board, and the church board sent other members to the other houses. And Stephanie was assigned to house number 7 now. And in house number 7, there was a little girl named Michelle. She was 11 years old. And from then on, Michelle and Stephanie had a connection. Michelle was always helping Stephanie with her bag. She was always participating in Bible study, and they formed a close bond. So after that, Stephanie started taking Michelle out of the orphanage to evangelistic meetings, and Michelle got baptized. And then Michelle asked, why don't you adopt me? And Stephanie was like, yeah, what if I could? So Stephanie was discussing it with her husband, and they also prayed again and asked God that if this is the child that you want us to adopt, please confirm. So then Stephanie remembered this incident where there was a woman who was giving a testimony at church, and the woman was saying how she went to prison and she lost all of her 6 children, and she was trying to become Adventist and, reform herself. So Stephanie tried to keep in touch with the woman, but they lost connection. But after that, Stephanie remembered that maybe this is the mother of Michelle, so she tried to look for the woman, and she found her on social media. And then she saw a picture of Michelle with the woman, and the woman was saying how Michelle is her child. And then later on, when Stephanie and Michelle were together at a birthday party, Michelle also was like, would you like to see my mom? I remember her. And Michelle also went to social media and showed the same picture to Stephanie. So this confirmed for Stephanie that the mother and Michelle are connected, and that confirmed for Stephanie that she can adopt this child, and this child, is meant to be adopted by her. So the orphanage director spoke to Stephanie about adopting Michelle, and they said that it would take a few years for it to be legalized, but from here on, Michelle can move in with Stephanie's family. And when Michelle moved in with the family, everything was going okay, and they're a happy family now. And I think this mission story teaches us that we should never expect God to do things on our own timing. We should always follow His timing, because His timing will always lead us to success.